ready to go.
Mayor, are you going to call the meeting to
I
order?
said we're ready to go. I haven't seen them remove the coming up next.
Oh, okay.
All right, wonderful. Well, good evening, and everybody, welcome to your first City Council meeting of the year of January 4th. We will start the meeting with the call to order to be followed by the invocation. If you could please rise and pay attention to Councilmember Duncan for the invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I think, Kevin, you can come up to the hot seat there. Kevin Ray was born and raised in Western Pennsylvania. He taught middle school before attending seminary, and he's been an ordained United Methodist minister for 29 years. The first 23 years he served in Western Pennsylvania. For the last 6 years, he's been on loan from the Western Pennsylvania Conference and serving in the Great Plains Conference. Kevin currently serves at 2 churches in Topeka, Crestview United Methodist Church, which is in District 8, and Grace United Methodist Church. In 2019, he put together a faith-based mental health series that is used in the Brown County churches and by a Brown County addiction support group. He and his wife Jennifer moved to Topeka in 2015 so that Jennifer could be closer to her mother. Jennifer was born and raised in Kansas, and some of you will be happy to know she's a Topeka High School graduate. She is currently a kindergarten teacher in 501. Kevin and Jennifer have 3 children, and whether this helps or hurts his reputation, Kevin and I are family, as he is also my wife's uncle. So now that that's out of the bag, he has to live with the public knowing that we are related. With that, I will turn it over to Kevin.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to bless your first meeting of the new year. So will you pause with me as I pray? Dear wise and loving Creator, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here tonight. We remember those who came before and led this city, sat in these chairs, made these decisions. As we gather tonight, we thank you for the many and abundant blessings that this city has had through the work of the council, of the mayor, of the officials and staff of the city. Thank you for life itself and for the measure of health needed to fulfill our personal and corporate callings. Thank you for the blessings and spiritual sustenance that comes through relationships built upon a common purpose. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities for that work. Thank you for loving us from your boundless and gracious nature. In Scripture, it says that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since they have been established by your authority to promote peace, order, and justice. Therefore, I pray for the various level of city officials and staff that keep the city running. I pray for our mayor as he begins his term of service in the city. I especially pray for this assembled council and the work they will address tonight and throughout this new year. I am asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of the people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, a confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives, and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them tonight. I pray for vision and humility in addressing the known challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. I pray for awareness and grace in addressing the inevitable unknown challenges and opportunities this year will hold. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Topeka. It is in your name I pray. Amen.
Then I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, guys, on to what we're here for. We're here to let me out early of this meeting. So with that, I will ask for the judge to please call our new mayor so that he could get sworn in.
I'll come around and join you. Good, man, how are you?
Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of Mayor of the City of Topeka, Kansas,
of Mayor of the City of Topeka, Kansas.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. If the audience would indulge me, there's an acknowledgement that I have to make before we move to the next one. Veronica, would you join me up here, please? It's kind of hard to say without stuttering, but I have to thank you for everything you've done for me in our life together. Next month, we'll be celebrating 54 years anniversary. Neither of us ever imagined that we would be here. Throughout this last campaign, she spent hours working with me, putting up signs, visiting with people, giving me all the encouragement that I needed to make this day happen for us. And one of the first things I want to do as the mayor is to give you my first official mayor's coin. Watch your step.
Congratulations, Mayor. The meeting is yours.
She's out of here. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Michelle. Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
if you would please continue with the swearing-in ceremony after you.
Yes, Mayor. Who do we have next, sir?
Karen Hiller?
Okay, I believe Ms. Hiller's by Zoom tonight.
Yes, she is.
I was directed to stand here, and I could see her on that camera. I don't see her just yet.
Yeah, we're pulling it up.
Okay.
There we go.
Councilmember Hiller, if you could please raise your right hand, I'd appreciate it. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of City Council Member for District Number 1 of the City of Topeka.
of City Council Member for District 1 of the City of Topeka.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please. Right hand, please. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the constitutions of the state of Kansas,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of City Council Member for District 3 of the City of Topeka.
the duties of city council member, District 3
For City of Topeka.
for City of Topeka.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Mr. Kell.
Going up here?
Sure.
Ready? Right hand, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of City Council Member
and will faithfully discharge the duties of City Council Member
for District Number 5 of the City of Topeka.
for District Number 5 of the City of Topeka.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Right.
Oh, you're fine. I got lesser up in my stuff all the time. I'm used to it.
Hello, Mr. Dover.
Good.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of City Council Member
faithfully discharge the duties of City Council,
for District Number 7 of the City of Topeka.
District Number 7, City of
So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I want to, I don't get to do it very often, but this is Randy Cray Lesser, my soon-to-be adopted daughter. So,
Nice to meet you.
Good job going after your dad. Raise your right hand. Ready? Do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of City Council Member
faithfully discharge the duties of City Council Member,
for District Number 9 of the City of Topeka.
District Number 9 of the City of Topeka.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes, sir. May I do this thing?
Yes.
Well, we got one more.
Thank you, sir. Yep. Thanks. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We'll move to the roll call, City Clerk.
Hold on. Mayor Padilla,
Here. Here.
Council members Hiller,
Here.
Valdivia Acala,
Here.
Ortiz, Emerson,
Here.
Kell,
Here.
Nager,
Here.
Dobler,
Here.
Duncan,
Here.
and Lesser.
Here.
We have 10 present.
Thank you. Give a few people a little more time. We'll move now to the consent agenda, if the clerk would read.
A is an ordinance introduced by interim city manager William Cochran authorizing initiation of condemnation proceedings to acquire property interest for a street improvement project at Southeast California, project number T701021. B is an ordinance introduced by interim city manager William Cochran, authorizing initiation of condemnation proceedings to acquire easements for a street and utility improvement project at Northwest Tyler Street, projects number 701019 and 701034. C is an ordinance introduced by interim city manager William Cochran, authorizing initiation of condemnation proceedings to acquire easements for a street improvement project at Southeast 12th Street, project number 701016. D is a resolution introduced by interim city manager William Cochran, authorizing the city of Topeka's participation in the Kansas Municipal Investment Pool and authorizing signatories and rescinding city of Topeka resolution number 9036. E is a resolution introduced by interim city manager William Cochran, naming banks and savings institutions that are designated as depositories for all city of Topeka accounts and authorizing signatories and rescinding city of Topeka resolution number 9235. F is approval of professional consulting services contract between the city of Topeka and May A Consulting Incorporated to aid the city in evidence-based research analysis and effective implementation strategies for the city's Changing Our Culture and Property Maintenance project. G is approval of a Public Works Contract 49280 amendment for professional engineering services between the city of Topeka and Alfred Benish and Company to provide an additional scope of services related to the 7th and Quincy Intersection Improvement CIP Project 141020 Phase 7. H is approval of a Public Works Contract for professional engineering services between the city of Topeka and JEO Consulting Group Incorporated to provide engineering evaluation and technical findings for the development of conceptual plans in 2022 for 3 years of street improvement projects. I are minutes of the regular meeting of December 21, 2021, and there are no applications.
Thank you. You've heard the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are you ready, Brenda, if you call the roll?
Absolutely. Council members Lesser?
Here.
Mayor Padilla?
Yes.
Yes.
Council members Hiller?
Yes.
Valdivia Akala?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Mayor Padilla?
Yes.
Council members Nager?
Yes.
Dobler?
Yes.
And Duncan.
Yes.
We have 10 yes, motion carries.
Okay, number 4 on the agenda is the non-action item, a discussion on city manager recruitment process. Interim city manager.
Mayor, governing body, tonight we start the conversation in regards to the city manager search. Director Russell has attached with the packet the current city manager's job description and the packet and timeline used in 2017 by the executive search firm we hired. She is prepared to answer any questions that you may have. The goal of today's session is to provide you with some information and timeline so that you're able to advance your decision in future meetings. If you, at this time, I will call Director Russell up if there's any questions.
Thank you for the information and for the packet, Jackie. I don't know that everyone has yet had a chance to really read through it and look at it. I do want to offer you the opportunity to give us an idea of any changes that may have occurred since the last time we went through this process, and highlight those changes for us, if you would.
I think that the biggest change is there has been some revisions to the position description, and it's whether or not you all, it's from the last recruitment, I should preface to say, and whether or not you all over the next week can review that, if the duties and responsibilities still make sense to you. The minimum qualifications, the one thing I wanted to point out there that you may consider is whether or not you would like to have a preferred or required qualification as a certified public manager. That's not currently part of the minimum qualifications, but something that you all could consider as you're finalizing that position description. And then outside of the position description, other considerations that I would recommend is whether or not you would like a national or a regional recruitment search. Would you like that to be done internally by Human Resources or to do an RFP for an outside recruiting firm? So those are some considerations. I would tell you that if we do the RFP, it does add, and in my estimation, about 60 days to the process because we have to procure a search firm and then get them up to speed on our organization. I think that if we were able to do an internal search, we could probably have a city manager in place by mid to late July if we did a 60-day advertising campaign. So those are some considerations. Other things further down the line that you'll want to consider are what do you want that interview process to look like? As a body, how do you want to narrow the candidates down to select my recommendation is 3 to 5 candidates to come in for a formal interview process. And then what do you want that interview process to be like? In the past, recruitment, we had a 3-panel process. We had a leadership panel that was comprised of various department directors. We had a community panel that was from community stakeholders that were able to interact with the candidates and ask questions, and then formal governing body interview for each candidate. We also had a public evening reception where members of the public could come in and meet and greet the candidates. So some considerations of if you want that the same or how you would like to change that interview process when we get to that point.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councilman Doler.
Thank you, Jackie. What are the advantages to hiring a national search firm for this position in your estimation versus, say, a regional search firm or somebody locally?
I think that, in my opinion, it's probably better if you're going to go outside to try to do regional or local just because they're more familiar with the community and more familiar with the organization. A national search firm, what you get with that is probably more name recognition in the city manager community of a high caliber search firm for placement. But I do think that any search firm is going to be able to understand our organization and the duties and the expectations would be able to articulate that in a way that would get a qualified candidate pool for you all to consider.
Follow up, Mayor. Thank you, Jackie. I really don't feel like we need to go outside with a national search firm. I do think there's some advantage to having a bit of an arm's length between HR and this process, simply because that person will be your boss at some point. So I think there needs to be a little bit of distance there. But gosh, I think there's a lot of talent in this community when it comes to searches of all types, and I think we can find a firm locally that can do that search. So I'm an advocate for that. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but certainly seems to make sense to me. Thank you.
Councilman Lessig.
Thank you, Mayor Padilla. I wanted to second that as well. I do like the arm's length of going outside, but I do think local as well. I did take an initiative to reach out to ask some, I won't name, but local firm, do you have the ability to do this? Is this something? Tell me why you could bring something that couldn't be brought by a national firm or vice versa. And this individual did say that he felt that their firm and there's other ones in Topeka that they certainly could do it. He did bring up one of the advantages compared to the national firm is you're going to get the same national pool that everybody's, I don't want to use the word retread, but it is what it is. And so we may get some candidates locally and that we wouldn't get in a national search that's not already in that database. And then I asked him cost. I said, tell me what the cost is, because I did do some research of what we've paid for different searches before. And, what I did learn, at least from him, was from a pricing standpoint, we could do it from a RFQ versus an RFP, because he said he could significantly do it less than $50,000. So that then brings a savings as well based on that. So I second Councilman Dobler's, thought that we try to stay within local to regional, local preferably on, you know how I am.
Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I would agree with that. You know, I've kind of been in this rodeo a couple of times, and we had a national person that came in, and, you know, he kind of swayed to one person out of our pool and was feeding him some of what we were telling him, and he wasn't supposed to. And I think that's why we came back to Jackie and did it in-house, because that was not supposed to happen at all. You know, he's supposed to treat them all across the board, and that did not happen. You remember that, Jackie?
Yes, I do.
And it almost cost us a liability. So I was not impressed. I also was not really impressed at the pool that they bring us, you know. And you have to remember that these city managers are paying them to find them a job, you know. So I think some of them might get paid a little bit more, but I would agree. I think our HR the last time did a great job. Maybe if we could tweak it a little bit, but I would support that. I think there's people right here that are homegrown that would have more investment in this position. That's how I feel. So I would support that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Councilmember Kell.
Now, on these search firms, background checks are done correct on candidates to make sure there's nothing that's going to pop up.
Yes, there's a preliminary background screening that would be done prior to them being considered a final candidate. And then once we're extending an offer, after a conditional offer of employment, a more in-depth background screening would be done on the final candidate.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Henderson, I was going to say.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a lot to add, though. I like the direction that we're thinking on this. I, too, would like to keep this local, hire a local firm to do it. It's always the darndest thing about Topeka. We seem to, we want to hire somebody from 1,000 miles away when we got a lot of talented people here. So I would fully support that. And I like the idea of having a firm, though, to give a little arm's length from HR on that. So
thank you.
I'd support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any council member online there?
Just a clarification.
I get you, Karen.
Oh, sorry. What are we defining as local? Topeka, Kansas, a radius within? So, I mean, I was just curious. I'm good with all that. I just was trying to get a clarification.
Okay, before we go into that, Councilwoman Hiller, you had your hand up.
I did. Thank you, Mayor. Couple things. One, I do think when we search for the search firm, when we look at what's happening in the job market today, and I think we found it true at any time with city managers, we do need to find a firm, I would suggest, that will really search, that will reach out into the professional networks and search. Just to put that out there. Second, we have had a lot of public interest, as everyone knows, as well as council interest in qualifications of our major departmental hires, most recently the police chief, and now we're hiring a city manager. And there are people that have stepped up and have wanted to be personally more involved in that process. I have suggested to them that the most important place for us to get involved up front is to look at that job description, because we are hiring to that job description. So if it's possible, I would encourage that if, for instance, we're just taking a week, that we have Gretchen get that job description or a notice out to the public, inviting the public to have a look at it. And if they have any comments on duties or qualifications or experience, that they get a chance to submit before we look at this again next week.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
I have, before I move on and ask for any further council comment, we do have a couple people signed up for a discussion on this item. So do we have any other comments from council? Okay. Oh, Councilmember Kell.
Maybe to go more on to what Councilwoman Heller said, is maybe we could actually have our citizens that want to be involved, that we have all heard from as a group, to have a sit down with the search firm before they actually start the process, so they know kind of what to look for and not look for in a potential candidate. I think that would just at least get the public say in the matter, because it could be 5 candidates get picked to come in, and it's no one in the city, as a public whole, sees anything. So I think maybe having, as part of that process, have the search firm sit down with 15, 20 citizens in a meeting situation and kind of get a point of view of what they want.
Thank you. That's something to consider, but at the same time, you have to think about the logistics of trying to get that done. I think the council members can be that conduit to any search firm that we would look to express the concerns of their constituency, so that you as their representative would bring their concerns to the search firm, so that way it can be considered in a way that is organized, so that we don't get hundreds, I don't know that we would, of emails about they should have this or that or whatever. I just think working through the council is a good idea. I would support the idea that we really consider a local search, and to answer Council Members Duncan's question, local for me, in my mind, means the city of Topeka. Regional means beyond that, by maybe adjacent states or something like that, that it keeps it still relatively close to the Midwest where we are located. But that, I think, can come with some later on detail. Councilwoman Padilla Alcala.
Thank you, Mayor. My question would be, since this is my first time around for this, is that if we go locally, which obviously sounds like a good idea to me as well, does that mean that, say, locally, you have the job description, they push it out, and then does this firm then interact only with HR? Or could there be the possibility that other council people might start interacting in this realm, whether we should or should not be? That would be my question.
Jackie, if you could answer.
If I could just speak to past processes that we've been through, it's a combination of both. The recruitment firm will first dialogue directly with the governing body, and typically I have been part of that dialogue to make sure that they understand the characteristics, as part of this conversation has been, that and the qualities that the governing body is looking for in a city manager. And then as the recruitment goes forward, they will communicate with the governing body through a series of meetings, and when we get down to specific candidates, the firm will help you all narrow that pool to your final set of candidates. And so it's a very interactive process with the governing body and human resources, the entire process.
Councilwoman.
I would ask then, thank you, Mayor, for a little bit more clarification. Sure. It's an interactive process, but so during that time, say that, do we have any hands off at a certain point until we get those candidates in front of us? That is my question.
We do entrust a lot of that initial legwork to the recruitment firm. They will advise us of where they are placing the recruitment ads and their direct, we might not know about their direct outreach to specific candidates, but the sources that they're placing advertising, they would run those through us prior to doing that. The governing body would approve the recruitment materials before a recruitment campaign is commenced. And it's as interactive and direct involvement as you all determine as a body. It's really your process, and you all would be providing the firm and myself guidance on how involved or uninvolved you want to be at certain points of the process.
Thank you for that. And then I would hope then that we would continue that dialogue, especially for us that have never been through this process, to be as transparent and as equally involved in this process, and that we stay as transparent, which we're certainly trying to do right now, with the public, because the public has a tremendous amount vested in this, because it is their tax dollars that pay for the salary and ours. So thank you for that, Jackie. Thank you, Mayor.
Moving forward, any further comment? We do have a couple people signed up for comment on this issue. Thank you, Jackie. Mr. Joseph Ledbetter.
We can do that. I can go home. All right. Well, thank you. I have some concerns. I've sent, an electronic transmission to all of you and copied the city clerk. And I'm not going to speak about all of that right now, but I think local is Topeka. I think that's just a given. What I hear from the people, and I hear a lot as I go around, I talk to people, and I talk to, to council members, I talk to other people in government. People want somebody local in this job. That means they're here in Topeka already. They're invested in Topeka. They own a house here. They may have a business, they may not, but they're invested in this community. They have probably some relatives here. They are deeply concerned and passionate about what this city is doing and about not only progress, but in fixing any problems to make sure we continue to progress. And that's what I hear. And that's what I speak from. You can do national search all you want. You're not going to find somebody from Topeka when you do that that actually believes in this community and actually will stand up to this community and for this community. And I'm really a little befuddled by some of the things I've seen down here in the last couple of years. The disrespect to council, even by staff, is to me intolerable. It speaks that if they'll disrespect the board of directors, they're disrespecting the public, and that's usually true. And it just greatly concerns me that we seem to have this not only lack of respect that should be enforced by the manager, and the council, but that we need some local people in these jobs, and it could be even department heads, that actually believe in this community and want this community to grow and want this community to thrive. Now, quite frankly, we've already got a good interim right here, if he wants to stay. He didn't pay me to say that. I'm saying I like him. Maybe that's a mark against him. I don't think so. I actually can have a conversation with Bill, and we can actually talk about things and talk about solutions. That's the kind of manager I want. Somebody that actually has no problem taking direction, but also no problem listening to advice, and is an independent, creative thinker that actually can solve problems. And that includes personnel problems. Sometimes that's a problem, and it should not be overlooked. But if you get somebody that's actually had some training in this, actually from a good school, actually understands it, maybe has some other analytical abilities and problem-solving abilities, what I would like to see is somebody that not only is from this community, but has been engaged. Somebody that you actually know they've solved problems and hard problems, and they're going to continue to do that in that role. And like I said, you've got an interim right now that I think can do these, solve these problems, and he's probably saying, shut up right now, but I'm going, whoever that person is, they need to be local. They need to be a Topekan. Now, the alternative to that is just go back to the strong mayor form of government, and I'm not ready prepared to talk about that yet, but that is what a lot of people are talking about. They want somebody from here, and if they have to, they'll elect them. And they're willing to open that process up too. And just get somebody that'll run that they feel they can trust, and maybe you give them a 2-year term instead of 4, but either way, we start to solve problems and we connect with our public and we listen to them. And so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your message.
He's just looking at me like, I don't think I connected.
On Zoom, we have Oshara Hayes. Is she? Okay. Ms. Hayes? She went off screen.
Oh, can you hear me?
There you go. Okay.
Okay, hi. Thank you for having me on today, and congratulations to our new mayor. I just want to say that I think it's very important that we choose our new manager wisely, and I want to. There you go. Okay. Hello. Thank you for having me on today, and congratulations to our new mayor. I just want to say that I think it's very important that and then choose our.
Ms. Hayes, do you have a television on or something in the background?
I need to turn the volume.
Do you have a television on or something? You need to turn that volume down. We're hearing it in the chambers.
And Oshara, you're now on mute. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I want to say, I'm sorry it took so much time messing up on the thing, but it's important that we choose a. I have the video on my Zoom. Should I turn her off?
That or turn the volume down because it is coming across.
She likely has a live stream or something on. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
maybe she's watching on Facebook Live or.
Oshara?
Is that better?
Right now it is. We'll go ahead and start again.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. It's important that we choose a city manager wisely. I wanted to comment last time, but I didn't sign up for public comment. But I did at our last press conference that we had. I went to the city manager and I expressed my disappointment on the process of the election of that position. And that city manager said that it was the sole decision of the city council. And I asked him, well, why didn't you change or say something different? And he blamed everything on the city council. So I don't think that we should have someone that will pass the buck. I think we need to have someone that is willing to listen to the people in the city of Topeka. And also, I did look up the flow chart for the city of Topeka, and the citizens are on the top of that flow chart. So I think it's important to hear the voices of the citizens in this process, and that it's important that we listen to our city council also. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. I see no one else signed up for public comment on this item. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. We have Mr. Joe Ledbetter signed up.
First off, Happy New Year, and let me congratulate all the elected and re-elected councils and mayor. And so, the reason I'm speaking at public comment on what I'm presenting, and I've sent you an electronic copy of this, is before we hire another manager, if we go that route, and I'm saying even the public election of somebody is not outside the realm if you change government, and there are people that actually want that. But staying on topic here, we need to change the charter ordinance. About a year and a half ago, I became aware of a lot of problems that really concerned me. And I won't go into all of them again because you've heard it probably over and over again from me. But to hand out $70 million worth of contracts in 2020 without any council approval was not illegal under this charter ordinance. It was shocking to me that we had such a glaring double-wide barn door that a Mack truck could drive through but we've got to close that loophole. I know we've started the process on consulting contracts at $50,000, but we need to do it on all of them. And I've offered some potential language, and of course it can be tweaked, but I would like to see any $50,000 and up contract approved by the council. And even any change orders over $30,000 needs to come back. And I would not have multi-year terms on contracts. I would say 1 year at a time is sufficient because we may be uncomfortable with their performance. I'm not saying we would be. We might want them for 10 years in a row, but I think that needs to come before each council and they be able to approve those contracts. In fact, I think it's absolutely part of your fiduciary duty to do such things, and as it lends to transparency. Folks, I had no idea what those contracts were until I started filing chorus. And some of those contracts I would not have signed if I'd been a manager or if I'd been counsel advising as lawyer. I would not have done that. And, you know, I was shocked at some of what I've seen money spent on, like over $500,000 to redo our stormwater ordinances that should have been done in-house by our legal department, in my humble opinion as a lawyer. And I know we've done it before, so why all of a sudden were we farming out so much money? Was it because we'd raised the rates and now we had to justify some spending? I know that sounds crass, but I can't find any good explanation for some of the contracts I saw signed. Other changes are under your council rules. Let me rapidly go through these. I did these in priority of how I feel about them and how I think we need to do them. First off, foremost, all the time, the council needs to set the city council agenda. It should not be the manager's job or staff's job. You all are capable. I believe in you. You need to set your own agenda. And then that ends all these arguments about, I can't get on the agenda because the manager won't let me. What? You're his boss. Anyway, that would not have happened if any of the people I know would have been in those shoes. Number two, city council meeting agenda needs to be published on the website prominently 2 weeks in advance with no changes. We, the public, need to see what you're doing. Better than that, you need to see what you're doing. You should not have last-minute things put on the agenda, and I know that happens all the time under the last manager. I know it did. That should not happen. Under your council rules, you can change that. I'll let you read the rest of them because it is a new year, and I don't want to ask for an extension first meeting.
Got right out of the chute. Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. I think you made some points there, Joe. Okay. No one else further signed up for public comment. We'll move on to announcements.
For the January 11th preliminary agenda, we have 4 discussion items. For the first one's outcome-based budget. The second is an update for the MTAA Authority. The third is discussion on the 2023 social service grant recommendations. And then the last one is regarding the process for the recruitment of city manager.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll move on to further announcements, and I believe Councilwoman Hiller? No? Nothing? Councilwoman Ortiz? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Valdivia Alcala. Excuse me.
I'm here. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick announcements. Wanted to give a shout out of thank you to Coach Tika for coming on board along with the city for the Changing Our Culture of Property Maintenance Initiative, which we hope will be a huge initiative for all of our citizens and all of our neighborhoods, especially those that often, due to intention, often not intentional, forgetting that they're some of the oldest and dearest, at least in my way of thinking, of neighborhoods in our community. So really looking forward to the hard work that lay ahead for many of us, and very excited about that. I'm glad that it was approved. Also, we'd just like to give a big shout out to District 2 residents. for the folks that can come in to be a part of the budget processes here with listening in and, giving feedback. I have been able, with District 2's help, to get all 5 positions filled for the different committees. And so I just want to say to those folks, thank you for going above and beyond for helping serve the community as well. And hope everyone had a blessed holiday. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you. I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate everybody. I don't know if I've done that for being elected. I look forward to 2022. And I just wanted to thank my constituents in District 3 for allowing me this opportunity to sit here another 4 years. I'm very honored. I'm very humbled. I also wanted to say that as I was watching TV today, I seen that Yak and Yarn, that they are taking gently used or new clothes for the tornado victims in Kentucky. And so as I was digging through my closet today, trying to figure out what was going to fit me for tonight, I thought, I'm going to start boxing some of this up. It's when you're zooming, you can't see the bottom, you can only see the top. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So if anybody, just think about them, that they need kids' clothes, they need adult clothes, they just need clothes. And we all can do that. I also wanted to say that I wanted to thank our street department for getting out there and really throwing the ice out there and working around the clock and keeping us informed. They really did this year. I know I enjoyed that. Because it was tough sheet of ice. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just also congratulations to all of you that got sworn in tonight. Really looking forward. We have a great group and looking forward to working with all you guys in 2022. Thanks.
Councilmember Dover. Oh, that's right. I forget because I'm out of position. I'm out of position. Councilmember Kell, any comments that you would have during announcements?
Just like to thank the voters and all the council members that have been helping me get acclimated into the position, and our executive assistant that has helped us, Liz, get me really work towards being able to be prepared for this.
Thank you. Councilmember, where? Councilmember Nager.
Thank you, Mayor Padilla. Congratulations to all of you who were sworn in tonight. Thank you for your service, and I look forward to serving with all of you. I just want to remind everyone we are in the midst of the Omicron wave. There are plenty of people that are at home right now trying to recover from this. And what can really mitigate your chance of contracting the virus, and if you do end up contracting COVID, your experience working through that illness is being vaccinated and being boosted. If it has been 6 months since your last dose, please go get boosted. It has been a lifesaver, a literal lifesaver for many people I know. And this wave is hitting us all more personally than anything has up to this point, as far as the numbers are concerned. If you do have any questions, you can go to vaccines.gov. Very easy to get to. I don't have any signs here, but vaccines with an S.gov to answer any questions and to get scheduled for your first vaccine prick or for your booster. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Dobler.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, congratulations to you. I look forward to the next 4 years. It should be a good one. As Councilman Emerson said, we got a great group. Councilman Kell, welcome. we look forward to working with you over the next few years. And to everybody else that got reelected, congratulations as well. Very quickly, I wanted to talk a little bit about, several weeks ago, we had an item in front of the council that went through the Public Works Subcommittee to remove bags on the meters on the 100 blocks either side of Kansas Avenue. As we discussed in the committee, it was, it's a monetary issue for the parking fund, and it seemed like it was time to make that decision, remove those bags. We've heard a lot since then from the impact that has had to some of the businesses, particularly ones that are just starting up. And, when that decision was made, when those discussions happened, it looked like COVID was headed out, as we've seen a couple of times now, and clearly that's not the case. So Councilman Lesser, Councilwoman Hiller, and myself have worked over the last few weeks with DTI, with City Manager Cochran, and others to visit a little bit with some of the stakeholders on either side. According to council rules, it takes somebody that was on the prevailing side of that vote to bring that back within the six months. I'm willing to do that, and working with the city attorney to get that on the agenda for the end of January. It's going to be a modified proposal, and I think we've reached a good compromise. I think the overall goal is to redevelop whatever it is, the downtown parking plan that makes sense for 2022, and we'll work towards that. Our city staff will work towards that. But just know that that's going to be on the agenda in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll have support for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Duncan.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things this evening. We have a few students or individuals here from Harvard tonight, and I hope what they take away from this meeting is, man, they are so efficient in their governing body meetings in Topeka, Kansas. But in full transparency, we have our long, messy evenings. You just got lucky and didn't dial up one of those this evening. So, but we do have our moments too. But tonight has been nice and efficient, and first of the year. The second thing is we've had a business in District 8 in Barrington Village that we've had a roller coaster week. Taco Casa has been there for 38 years. And so a couple of thank yous. That business was opened by Lori Clark and her husband 38 years ago, and he passed away, and the daughter who had moved away said to Mom, "You need to keep running it." And she said, "I don't know how to run a business." And yet she managed to keep it going for another decade plus. But a combination of factors from COVID, to age, to all those things combined to her announcing that after 38 years it would have to close. But in swept someone else, Kevin Dunford, who also recently bought Paisanos and owns Jayhawk Body and Glass, said, I'll buy it, and he has swooped in and bought it. There will be a name change, but it's going to stay there and continue to operate in District 8. So thank you to both of them, Ms. Clark for keeping that thing running for 38 years, and to Kevin for stepping in and keeping the business alive in District 8. And the last and most important announcement of the evening is my mother's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom. Thank you.
Councilmember Lesser.
A couple things tonight. Chief, if you come up, Ryan. While he's coming up, two things. I want to kind of piggyback on Hannah. I actually have a good friend, Mr. Jeff Campbell, a long-time good buddy of mine, who just got out of ICU from COVID. 2 weeks now in rehab hospital, hopefully. And then I found out today that a guy I played baseball all the way through almost to college with is in ICU fighting it right now, and he's 49 years old. So the battle continues. I wanted to bring you up, Chief, because I promised that I wouldn't reveal some names. So I'm going to do it kind of like I do my taxes. I go all the way to the line, and I do not break any rules, but I go all the way to that line. So on December 25th, everybody probably read about a U-Haul that was stolen here. Family was traveling through Topeka. Their U-Haul was stolen. Did recover it, and missing about $20,000 worth of guns, jewelry, those type of things. That group of officers, and I will not name those officers because they asked me not to do so. But I will let you tell me what shift it is. I think we can say what shift it was. The
Day shift, yeah, it was
Christmas day shift.
Night shift into day shift.
That group of guys upon themselves took up a collection amongst them, those officers of their own, of not only items but money, to help this family that then got on their way. The next day, the family tried to give it back. They declined. And I just thought it was important that we recognize our brothers in blue that did something they certainly did not have to do, but the compassion that was shown by those fives taken out of their own pocket speaks highly of your leadership and the people that you're running there. So thank you, Chief, and I wanted to acknowledge that. So I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lesser. I did step out of, okay, Councilman Big Mike Lesser. I did step out of turn, though, at this first meeting, and forgot to invite the interim city manager for any announcements he may have.
Just been an exciting 2 days.
Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. Now that you're mayor, we didn't vote for a deputy mayor tonight. So who's deputy mayor?
Well,
because I don't want nothing to happen to you on the way home, but I'm
the city clerk.
That's a question for Amanda.
Yeah, I think Amanda has
Because
it.
I'm really.
That election happens next week.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
So Mike, don't let nothing happen to you for a whole week. Because he can only serve one title.
Councilmember Duncan.
I do have a question about that. So it's not next week, it's 2 weeks from now.
Correct. Sorry.
I do have a
misspoke.
question about that, and I don't care either way. My question about that date is, traditionally, we did it that week because we didn't actually swear people in until the second week, which is why we did it that third week. Since we currently don't, I mean, so is there a reason we are waiting till the 18th and not doing it next week?
It's in our code.
Oh, so we didn't change that when we changed the other? I don't, okay, well, that explains it, so. See the things you miss when you're changing code, so.
Plus, he's going to last a couple weeks.
And if I may, Mayor.
Please.
Before I was so rudely cut off by Duncan. Amanda, I do want to get that changed because I think that's very crucial that we make sure that that's done.
We can definitely bring you an ordinance amendment for that.
So will that be on our agenda? Oh, we're voting next. Okay.
Can we suspend the rules to do it?
You're welcome.
Not with a code.
Councilmember Lesser, did you have your hand up?
Code.
I was just asking if we could suspend the rules to do it tonight. She said not with the code. That's what
Thank you.
You have big shoes to fill. I get that. You could handle it, but it's just a concern.
Yeah, they're either flats or
And
high heels.
Henderson's acting up.
I wear Oxfords, so. Councilmember Duncan brought to our attention our visitors today, and I'd like to do just a little bit more if I could. They are in the audience tonight. I will call them by name and ask them to stand as we give them an applause and welcome. Patricia Morales, if you would stand, please. Mehran Keval, and Emma Winitsky. All of them come from very different locations. I think, is it Thailand, Puerto Rico, and South Carolina? Yeah, South Carolina is the closest one we got in here. So they'll be shadowing a number of staff throughout the city and going to a number of locations, learning how we provide services to our citizens. City of Topeka. They are postgraduate students in a master's program at Harvard, and I welcome you here. thank you for choosing Topeka, and thank you for being in here tonight. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, yeah. And I'd like to make a final comment before, under announcements, before we move into an executive session. Others have said this, and I congratulate my returning colleagues who were reelected to the council. I've been fortunate to serve with you in the last 4 years and have enjoyed every minute of it, regardless of whether or not we've agreed in all things or not. I think we've accomplished a lot as a body. I welcome Mr. Kell to the body and hope that if you have questions or thoughts that you want to share, that you'll reach out to any of us and myself to become part of this team. I think that that's the way we've been looking at ourselves, and we've been, I think, responsive to the community by being that team. And so I welcome you here as well. I want to say it has been, for the last 4 years for me, an enlightening and educating experience. I've made good friends on this council. I've made friends outside of this council because I was on the council. And it brings you in contact with a large group of people in this community. And that large group of people is important for us in how we see how we serve this community, to get those different opinions, to get those ideas that sometimes don't get revealed to us until after we've made a decision. So my encouragement to this community is get involved with this government. This is the one that impacts you the most immediately. Local government is the place where, as I heard it while I was at the conference, the mayors of this city, meaning the local government, not just the mayors, but the local governments are the ones that are running states and helping the national conversation come to some sense. So it's the local government that really is what you need to pay attention to. When the word transparency comes up, that's important. But don't wait for us to be transparent. Ask the questions. If we haven't answered those questions for you, make it your purpose to hold us accountable. And I look forward to the next 4 years because I do think, like I said before, Topeka is on the cusp of a lot of great things. And having a governing body in place that works well together is important to make those things continue. And I appreciate the fact that we do have an interim city manager right now who has been working very hard with a number of us on projects that cannot just sit and languish while we look for a permanent city manager. So I look forward to the opportunity to meet as many people as I can in the process. To your suggestion, Mr. Kell, about public involvement in looking for a city manager. That's good. Let's just make sure that we do it in a way that makes some sense and that we get some real value out of that input. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years as the mayor, serving at the pleasure of the public. And I want to thank them for giving me this opportunity. So for that, I think we can move on to an executive session that City Attorney, would you please read?
The motion would be to recess into executive session, not to exceed 20 minutes, to discuss matters related to an individual employee pursuant to KSA 754319B1. The open meeting will resume in the City Council chambers. The following staff may be needed to assist the governing body in its deliberations: Interim City Manager Cochran, as well as any other staff he may deem necessary.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Again, for how long, City Attorney?
Not to exceed 20 minutes.
Okay, not to exceed 20 minutes. Motion and seconded. Will you call the roll for?
Mayor Padilla?
Yes.
Council members Hiller? Trudon? Yes. Yes. Valdivia Acala?
Yes.
Ortiz? Yes. Emerson?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Nager?
Yes.
Dobler?
Yes.
Duncan?
Yes.
And Lesser? Yes. We have 9 yes. Motion carries.
Up to you. Do you want me to stay or leave? You minutes for signing? Would I mind which? Stay? Okay. Yes, I'm happy to stay. I'm over here if you need
Coming out.
Has an announcement.
This is, nobody knows this is an update.
Okay, we're back.
So this
We're
was
back live.
Then later on.
I think we're back live. So we come out of executive session, no action has been taken. There being no further business for the body, this meeting is adjourned.
And this is JR.